Hi, it's Kamon Reynolds, and we got to this colony a little late. Thankfully not too late. And what I mean by that is it is swarm season here in Tennessee. It is the, oh goodness, 12th of April, 11th, something like that. It's one of those days. But this colony needs more space. We are just running out of time. I spent all morning in a different bee yard, and I probably had about 15 colonies like this anyways. So we have a cell right here. We have a cell right here. These are queen cells on the bottom, and they are fixing to cap them. Now when they cap them, it is almost impossible to get them to stop from swarming if you leave them as they are. Now when they are like this, I've never had an instance where, as long as there wasn't a capped cell, I couldn't go through the colonies, and it's pretty intensive because you may have one a pretty decent ways up there. One thing I like about having plastic or good wax foundation combs is they typically put them at the bottom. Sometimes they will not, but more often than not they're at the bottom. When you have foundationless frames, they'll stick them further up more often. But we've got to go in here and we've got to cut these out. Now if you're wanting to make a split, that's all fine and dandy. You can take a couple of these frames and with the cells, as long as you don't damage them. If you dent them just a little bit, they usually just discard them. So you can put a couple of those with some brood. I would take a couple shakes of bees, make sure you don't have the queen, put them in a colony. I really like 2 frames of brood, a frame of food, and then I want to take a couple other frames of bees and shake them on there, because there's some of those bees that are going to come flying back to this location. And then you can just have yourself a little nuke to start off, and hopefully one of those cells will produce a queen. She'll go out and she'll mate, and then she'll come back and you'll have another queen. But if you're wanting to keep this as a full-size honey production hive, there's a couple things you can do. Tell you what, my son, one of these days that thing's just going to start driving away. But that's why I got the key in my pocket. Anyways, oh, where was I? That boy. We've got to cut these out because I want this colony to produce 90 to 120 pounds of honey. Last year we averaged over 100 pounds of honey per colony. That was a good double deep size like this. So what I need to do is go through all of these frames. It's so much fun. And then I'm going to cut those cells out because I don't need any more splits. And then I'm going to take a couple empty combs since I have those. I'm going to stick those in the middle, take this frame feeder out, open up the nest a pretty good bit, and then I'm probably going to take a good frame of brood and the adhering bees that are on them, and I'm going to give them to a small colony. Not a weak colony as far as sickly, but maybe a weak colony as opposed to it's just small. Maybe like a nuke or something you want to boost, or maybe you have a package or something. You know, I technically could take them over there and beef those packages up a little bit, but I'm not going to because I said I want it. But you can do that. You can help your colonies along, and that takes away from the swarming impulse. But if that cell is capped, you need to make splits, and that's really the only way I've ever found to stop them from doing it. I like to take the original queen and make a split with her. Take her a pretty decent bit of the bees, like a 5-frame nuke's worth, take the queen and just start another colony, and then leave the cells in there and let them raise their own. But there's a couple different ways to do that. We'll have probably a couple different options this year, maybe even do a couple different ways next year. I mean, there's just so much in beekeeping to cover. But what we're going to do is just go through this colony right here. It's going to take a pretty decent while, so it's better not to get it to this point. It would have been better if last week I'd have come in here when I knew it was pretty large and just pulled a frame of bees or 2, put a couple empty combs or foundation in there, get them to draw it, get some space, decongest the brood nest. When you have a situation like this where we have so much nectar, so much pollen, and the queen is laying so many eggs, if she starts running out of room, this is what happens. You better keep track of your colonies because it can go from this colony's okay size to, oh, hey, they're in the tree over there in a week or 2. And it's very easy to do it. So we're going to have another video. I'm sure we're going to have more colonies like this because I've seen so many. And we will do a full inspection as far as going through cutting cells. Maybe even doing one with the split option when we get the chance. Thanks for watching this video, and keep on top of those swarmy colonies. Goodness, we might as well just go ahead and do a video because I'm fixing to do it anyway, so Laurel's going to take the little video, and we popped this next box because you can't just count on it being just in that top box alone. A lot of times most of them are in the top, but that's not always the case. It's one of our queens that likes to go down and lay, and that's why we're going to be using an excluder before too long. Probably actually today, throw an excluder on. Nah, we'll do that tomorrow. Procrastination is great. But we're going to keep the queen down into the bottom two boxes, and that way we know where she is. We're going to start adding a couple honey supers to these things. Should have already done it, just been behind. But I mean, there's just so many queen cells here, so we've got to make sure that we don't miss one or we're in trouble. And it's really too late to be doing this stuff, but I mean, goodness, those things could be capped tomorrow. Fun times. This is where a lot of new beekeepers, they finally get their bees to do well, and they're excited and all that stuff, and then they lose a swarm. And I'm telling you what, 60% or more of these bees could be gone out of here this time next week if we don't do anything. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of prying these frames apart, looking underneath, and seeing if they have any down below. I'm not too concerned about them having them at the tops or anything like that. I'm also going to take some bees from this colony. They're, oh my goodness, they're packed, and not only that, they have so much brood in there, they're fixing to, well, leave if I don't get some relief for this colony. Alright, some good looking cells, but they're going to have to go. There's nothing wrong with doing this. Some people really freak out about killing queen cells, but it's got to happen if we want to keep these bees in our hive or in our hives. And I don't need extra splits. I want honey. I got a lot of honey customers. So we're just going to slice these off right here. And the bees will take all of that waste right there, all that protein, and they'll consume it and reuse it. Bees are pretty awesome like that. So I'm just going to look back up in there since that one was so heavy. Yeah. It looks like there's just mainly brood in these three frames right here. I might even rotate this box. Look at all these bees though. Goodness gracious. We did smoke them up, but we should have dealt with this last week. And this is where, you know, a lot of people freak out when I crush a bee in a video or something, and it does bother me to a degree because I don't like doing that. But at the same time, what in the world am I supposed to do in a situation like this? And also for the people that tell you that bees don't do as good in 10 frame boxes, boy, they don't know what in the world they're talking about. Now, I have no problem, and I think it's actually really cool that we have so many types of hives out there. You have Warre hives, which I'm not a fan of, but they're neat. You've got horizontal Langstroths, you have top bar hives, you have 12 frame hives, which are like the rose hive, and you know, those beekeepers are telling you that the bigger hives do better. You know, they're superior. And then there's guys telling you 5 frame nukes because bees like it better in smaller spaces. A good queen that doesn't have a lot of mite problems in the hive with good nutrition is going to do fine in pretty much anything you stick it in, as long as it's dry and a decent cavity size. Alright. This one right here, I'm just going to pull the frames out because this is where the bulk majority of the brood is. Goodness gracious, bees. Now this is why a lot of people don't like the deeps, is because, you know, a lot of people can't do what I'm doing as far as the weight goes and all that stuff. And right now, you know, I'm 30, so things are a lot easier for me. I promise you, within the next few years, once we get enough colonies with plenty of deep comb, we're going to be switching to mediums for honey supers, just because the honey is so heavy in these things, let me tell you. And see how much smoke I'm using right now? This is a big colony. It takes a lot of smoke. Plus, it's going to be dark here in like 20 minutes. So, exciting times here at Tennessee's Bees. This is a little glimpse into the insanity we call our lives. Goodness gracious. Nothing but honey. I'm telling you right now, that nectar is delicious. I'm pretty sure it's mostly from redbud and some of the French Felicia, or however you pronounce that. We call them snowflowers. A wild mush around here. So seeing a little bit of clover. There was no brood on that outer frame, which is pretty typical. But it's not always the case, so you need to make sure there's no cells. So we already crushed these right here. The main thing is occasionally you'll have a couple up in here on the sides or something. Another reason I don't like foundationless frames is because if they just draw the comb like here and around and here, it leaves a lot more side edge places for them to do the swarm cells, the queen cells. And the reason I'm smoking like that is because I'm going fast. I need to get these bees out of my way, crush as few as possible, and I definitely don't want to be getting stung either. I'm not a fan of that. It happens. Let's see, that was good. The swarming impulse is decently strong, but it's not incredibly strong. And we'll have to come back and make sure that it's not bad next week. And that's why I'm going to be pulling some bees, because giving them a little bit of relief. And see, this is part of the problem right here, if you can see it with the lighting. We have brood, we have bee bread, we have nectar even down in here a little bit. That's the problem. This needs to be solid brood. There needs to be food up here, you know, bee bread here, and brood down in here, and the queen needs to have plenty of room to lay. And so, shame on me for not getting my honey supers on quick enough, but goodness, I run out of time. Oh yeah. See, and they're hatching out right here. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Alright. I don't know if you can see that, but they're, where did that thing go? Okay, they're hatching out right here, hatching out here, and as fast as they're hatching out, they're back filling it with nectar. That's a problem. This queen needs room. She's laying up a storm. Alright, this is going to be our relief frame for multiple reasons. One, because, and we're going to take the adhering bees too. We just got to make sure the queen's not on it. I'm pretty sure she's not. You kind of have to watch a frame like this though, where they're hatching out, especially if they've hatched out really good, because a frame like that is very attractive to the queen, because she wants to get to those empty combs. So when those combs, or the cells I should say, become available, she can smell that brood hatching out and she goes straight over and makes a beeline towards it. The humor. Anyways, we're going to take this and give this to a small colony, because this is great. It's got nurse bees on it, plus it's got a bunch of brood hatching out, so they're not going to have to do a lot of work to take care of them. It's an ideal frame to take, and we're going to just take those adhering bees. We'll show you that if we can. Alright. This isn't as bad as it could be. Hang on a second. We're almost done. Man, yeah, there's just brood all in there. And there's just nothing but bee bread and honey on that side. So that's a problem. Alright, I think this outer frame looks fairly empty. It's got a lot of honey on that one. This one didn't get drawn all the way last season. Alright, we're going to stick that towards the center. Stick this one towards the edge, because that's pretty much just nectar. Woohoo! Just about got that one. Alright. This one's got brood on this side. We don't want to stick that on the wall. This side has all the stores on it and the bee bread. We'll stick that out. Alright. Now we're going to put a couple combs in here. So that is what we're going to do to eliminate the swarming problems we have. Alright, this one right here, an extra queen, little bitty split. But it needs some help, and we're fixing to give it some big help. Not only immediate help with these bees, but all of those are fixing to hatch out. So we're fixing to add probably about 2 frames worth of coverage to these bees, and not a whole lot of work, because you know they're such mature brood. Alright, let's take that sucker out of there. And we're gonna, that's their food frame. A lot of people like to use nuke boxes. I find these do alright in big boxes like this. So we're gonna give them these right here. They can draw on that, especially since there's brood on this frame and brood on this frame. And they also have nectar flow going. They're gonna draw those out really well. Stick those down in there. And one thing I really like to do, if you have them low to the ground, you can shake these bees to the entrance, but these are mostly nurse bees. I'm just going to shake them over here. I like to shake them so they have to kind of walk over. Bees accept laying queens very well. Alright, so now I'm going to take their food frame. I'm going to stick this. Let's go ahead and stick it right in the middle of them. That way they don't have to go far. We're going to take a peek later, maybe the next week or two, and just see how quickly that one bounces off, or bounces up, or whatever you want to call it. And that, I'm a little crazy right now. I'm telling you what, this is probably the 15th colony I've done like this today, maybe more than that. Alright, this colony, it's taken care of. I hope this might help you if you have any swarming issues. Sorry about the wind in the video, but Mother Nature, you know, she has her own way. Kind of like my wife who's fixing to tell me that it's time to cut the video short. I'm going to pay for this. Thanks for watching this video.